A student who's planning on studying in Canada, their worst nightmare is to actually get their visa rejected. Think about it. You're planning on studying probably in Canada and you have all these big dreams. You did all the work for your admissions, you got all the papers together for your visa, but the last thing you want is a visa rejection. I get it. I've seen a lot of students get all depressed and feel beaten down by the comments from all the family members around them. Now, obviously, if you're someone who has done this already, you probably wouldn't want to go through it again. And if you're someone who's in the middle of their application, you probably want to know what are the things you can do to minimize your visa rejection. And that's exactly what I'm going to do in this video. I will give you 5 tips that you can use to minimize your chances of getting your visa refused. Number 1, don't listen to your parents. Look, I own a company called Connected where we are helping students who plan on studying abroad. And the one thing we always notice is that these students come to us super late in the process where they cannot really work on their visa stuff anymore because they don't have time. Why? It's because their parents ask them to wait for their exams are over or get their admissions and then apply for visa and all that stuff. This is a big mistake students make. Look, the process of visa is way longer than admissions, and oftentimes you need to start the visa process before your admission. And this is where parents just don't get it. They use their traditional approaches of just asking their kids to say wait for something is over, and that messes up the student's profile, and in the long term they can't get their visa. So what are some of the things you can prepare for early on? Starting with funds, then understanding what kind of things you're going to require based on your situation. Maybe you need a loan, maybe you need a lot of help with your IELTS, maybe you need a lot of time with your admissions, probably because your situation is complicated. So you got to really plan things out and build a roadmap as to what you need when. If you don't know how to assess that, go meet an expert, meet somebody who knows what they're doing. Maybe a friend of yours who moved abroad. If you're looking for help from an agent, obviously you can sign up with my company. If you don't want to sign up with my company, go speak to an agent at least so that you become aware of what's required. It's much better for you to be informed early on than get to the last phase and realize that you already made a big mistake. So make sure your parents see this video. Make sure that you are aware what can potentially happen down the road. Number 2, funds. Here's the thing. Every student or every almost other agent in Bangladesh or India gets this wrong. Everyone thinks you just need to show funds and that is it. If you show enough money, you're gonna get your visa. That is not the case at all. A visa officer is not only gonna assess your funds, but they're gonna assess your income. There's a minimum required income for anybody to get their visa or the sponsor of the person, because the question is, even if they have the funds, if they don't have enough income, it means they're unstable, and whatever funds they have, it means it's not sufficient to only support you, but also to support themselves. And in those cases, the visa officer will actually refuse your application. So what happens is that so many students meet all these agents and they think, I just need to show the funds for my education expenses. That is not the case. You need to show enough funds to show that you can cover your expenses. Plus, you got to show some money for your family. Plus, you got to show that either you or your sponsor has enough income to back up their lives or support their lives even after they have to spend money behind you for your education. So there's a whole process for that, and income cannot be just shown like on a piece of paper. You need to show the income properly according to the requirements for a visa officer to make proper sense out of it. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you go ask somebody who knows better or meet an agent that can help you out with this. Also, I do want to bust some myths here. Some people think they can just sell their land or properties, get some money, put it in their bank accounts, and they can just show that for their visa. This is a big red flag. Then some students just take out loans or borrow money from other people and they show that for their visa. There's a way to do this. There's a right way to do this. And if you don't do it that way, you're gonna get your visa refused. And lastly, you might see a lot of agents tell you you need FDRs, you need this and that. Trust me, you don't need assets. Assets are just something that you need to show ties to your home country. That's never treated as liquid funds, and it really doesn't strengthen your visa application at all. So what you need to do is show liquid funds, but in a proper way, and then show income. It doesn't have to be in the form of FDRs. You can literally show your savings account and you can get your visa approved. Number 3, statement of purpose, also known as SOP. Every student struggles with this. I get it. It's a very strategic essay that so many students struggle with it because they just don't know what the visa officer is looking for. And not only that, so many students don't know how to write proper English, right? So now if you're someone who needs a lot of help with that, again, go seek expert advice. Or maybe you can get yourself a writer who can write the whole SOP for you. But the one thing you got to prioritize is that you don't want to write an SOP that's very generic in a way that you're just simply answering questions. For example, if the SOP is asking you to write, why have you selected the program in Canada? Try to come up with a story as to what inspired you to select that program in the first place. Why are you selecting the institution that you have selected? A nice answer for that could be, let's say you looked at the course sequence of that institution and it looked unique, and that's why you chose that institution over others. If you're talking about the program that you have selected, maybe there was a professor who inspired you to study that program. Maybe there was a problem that you saw in your country and now you want to fix that problem, and that is why you chose that area of study. This shows that you're truly passionate about the program that you have selected, and maybe you want to come back home and implement your learnings to improve the community back home. So those are some little tips that you can use for your SOP. At Connected, we actually write the SOP for most of our customers. We get the gist of their answers, and we have professional writers who write SOPs for our customers. So if you're interested, make sure to sign up through the comments below. Number 4, explanations. Look, almost every Bangladeshi or Indian or any Southeast Asian person has a lot of complexities on their application. If you have study gaps, if you didn't get a good enough grade in your academics, maybe you have learned some deposits in your bank account. That doesn't mean your visa is going to be refused. If you can write great explanations to explain the complexities in your application, 100% of the time you can get your visa application approved. If you're taking a loan, if your father is unemployed, maybe you are the one who's supporting yourself and you need to explain why you're going to move to Canada and how you're going to still sponsor yourself. These things can all be explained nicely. What most international students do is that they just submit their documents as is, and they don't present their documents or explain the complexities within the documents nicely, which leads to the visa officer being confused, and they often refuse your application in those cases. And lastly, organization of documents. This is something nobody gets. Honestly, it makes sense. This is your first time submitting a visa application. You gotta ask yourself, how can you present your documents in an organized manner that makes it easier for the visa officer to make sense out of your application? For example, I see so many students submitting their original deed summaries of their assets and properties with their visa application. Hint, you don't have to do that. You just need to go to a notary person, get it summarized in a one-page document, and just submit that. A visa officer doesn't need your tax assessment forms. A visa officer doesn't need your vouchers or whatever you thought might be necessary. They don't need that. So you gotta know what makes it easier for the visa officer to make a decision on your application. And the easier you make it for them, the quicker you're gonna hear a decision from IRCC. Do some proper research online and you're gonna know exactly what set of documents are required. You don't need to submit your school transcripts, your student IDs, all that stuff is crap and useless, and it makes your application heavier, and it actually makes it even worse when you're trying to upload it because you gotta upload it in the 4 megabytes limit. So reduce the number of documents that you need to upload, only upload what's important and necessary, and makes it easier for the visa officer to make a decision on your application. That's it for today. I kind of gave you a lot of insights from the work that we do. Hey, look, nobody wins by keeping secrets, so I want to give you what I know. Hopefully this helps you in your journey as an international student, regardless whether you sign up with my company or not. But if you're still someone who's looking for help, as I said, I own a company called Connected, and we help students who want to study abroad with their admissions, visa, and once you get there, we can help you find a job. So if you're interested, make sure to sign up through the link in the comments, and if you want to see more, make sure to like, follow our page, and if you have any questions, make sure to ask them below. All right, that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Maybe let me know what topic you want me to cover next, but that being said, take care of yourself, and I'll see you when I see you.